Hey, I'm Johnny Drive-By. Why don't you turn your dial to the Atheist Edge?
Without further ado, I'd like to introduce, once again, Jim Hall. Happy to have you back. It's your show now.
All right. Hello again. I've got a mnemonic device, so I'm going to do a little housekeeping first. And my mnemonic device is Marcus Aurelius holding up a dollar bill and a book, and he's standing in front of a computer screen, and he's at J. Gilligan's Pub. So I'm going to try to get all these done without taking any notes. It's the only way I can remember stuff. So the dollar bill. Last time I was here, someone paid me with a $50 bill for some books.
Oh. Yale Stanford.
Remind me afterwards, because I thought it was funny. I owe you some change. And what else is Marcus Aurelius holding? Oh, books. Speaking of books, there's free stickers over there and business cards, and the books are $5 and $10 for the little and the big one, if you guys want to look at those. And what else? Oh, it's Marcus Aurelius. You guys keep mentioning the Stoics, and I keep forgetting. I want to be a part of that class. So after maybe Penny or Greg, somebody can. Yes, I would love to. I'd love to learn more about it and start going to those twice a month, right?
Right.
Yes. Penny and I talked about it too, so.
Calendar, will have half the dates on it.
Ooh,
Yeah, 2 weeks from yesterday will be another session. It's the first and third Saturday of every month until we run out of
first and
material.
third Saturday sounds perfect, Oh yeah, Courtney was supposed to be here, my co-host. I haven't seen Heidi nor hair of her since before the pandemic. She's working on a lot of, she's got a lot of stuff. And he's standing in front of a TV screen, the TV screen. I couldn't figure out the aspect ratio, so we're just gonna do it this way. It's kind of jerry-rigging it, but so you can see the entire screen. It'll just, better than nothing. At least it's working this time. And he said, oh, and so this group's so crazy close to, you guys were talking about Abram Street, there's something going on there, you warehouse. Well, also on Abram Street is J. Gilligan's Pub. Every Wednesday night, you guys know about Metroplex Atheists that meet there?
No.
Metroplex Atheist has been meeting there since the late 70s. And there's a lot of new blood coming in, so all different age groups. There's college kids from the Secular Student Alliance now at UTA. There's the founders still, so they're our age. Okay, this is an hour talk, so I'm gonna go flying. I'm gonna be flying through slides. Take notes. Better yet, raise your hand. I don't mind interruptions, so I want it to be interactive too. Hit me with your thoughts, comments, questions. And when I say atheism from here on out, I mean atheism and everything atheist adjacent. So agnostic, secularist. If you believe in separation of church and state, Metroplex Atheist. If you heard about that banner campaign they did a few years ago before the pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
That in Fort Worth, the "In No God We Trust," those big yellow banners made international headlines. They're doing it again this summer.
Wow.
And to keep your God out of our public schools. Okay. So when I say atheism, I mean all atheist adjacent. If you believe in separation of church and state, it's still, even if you're not not agnostic, not humanist, well, everyone in here is a humanist, I'm gonna guess. So it applies to you in some form or fashion, okay. All right. I'm not going to talk just to the slides. You guys can't read this, I am going to talk to the slides. When we're out there, first thing I like to do is when I'm amongst a large group of believers. I've done talks at Tate Springs Baptist Church. I've done Ask an Atheist event, where I'm the only atheist in the room, where it's a panel of me and two others sitting on stage, fielding questions, and it's all fundamentalist Christians. You'd be surprised how amicable they are. So, and I like to keep it that way. So I try not to walk in there. First, I like to dispel the notion that we have horns growing out of our head. So a lot of them, the vast majority of them, I'd say, the vast majority of them, I would say, have never met an atheist before. So it's important to, this is their first example. When Courtney shows up with me, she's much younger than me, and they always catch in the hallways afterwards. I never thought you were going to be one of the atheist panelists up there. I thought you were part of the congregation. That you did an overweight, frumpy white guy with a goatee. I mean, it's a walking stereotype for atheism. I try, so anyway. But I don't want the, you want to come across amicable. Sometimes their first time they've ever met one. Or if you're talking separation of church and state, a lot of true die-hard believers are still for separation of church and state. Just because they're a Christian doesn't mean that they're not.
Yeah.
So don't assume that you, there's always going to be somebody in that Q&A that gets up and tries to get hostile. And so it's important to defuse it right off the bat. The best way to do it is, first off, ask them to clarify what your question is. If they have to repeat themselves, it's usually going to be a little more amicable. And the more that you try to clarify, and you guys know what steel manning is? Steel manning is the opposite of straw manning. It's where you tell, let me see if I get your question correct, and you tell their question back to them in a very intellectually honest way, right? You're not trying to twist his words, and is that what you meant? Then that hostility, that confrontational attitude, it tends to lessen if you repeat it back to them, because it tells them, I'm honestly going to try to answer your question. So steel man, that's a good one to make a mental note of. Subject your own beliefs to the same scrutiny that you would anyone else. And kill them with kindness, we talked about that already. The more emotional and when people speak from their heart, when they speak with emotion, that clouds their logic. It's hard to be emotional and logical at the same time. So if this one goes up, this one's going to go down. It's almost like an inverse proportion, Right. So that's why I love the Stoics. You have to get real stoic when they start going like that. And that will calm them down. You have to be the counterbalance to them. Staying on topic, they're going to say, if we came from monkeys, why are there still monkeys? Or, something like that, right? Mm-hmm. So let me break this down. Don't jump right into, if they're still British people, if we came from British people, why are there still British people? That's a snarky, it kind of makes sense, but it's confrontational, It's confrontational.
If Honey Nut Cheerios came from Cheerios, why do we still have Cheerios?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good too. But you can see how that's a snarky way to deal with them. You don't want to you can maybe work that in as a little joke, but don't lead off with that. Never lead off with that.
Yeah.
Two things that come to mind is steel man them. So let me make sure I got your question right. And then repeat it back to them, maybe in a different way, maybe more scientific, but enough to where they can understand it. Don't assume they're idiots either. They might know exactly how natural selection works, They probably don't, but they might.
You never know.
All right. We see ourselves as bulletproof superheroes. We see ourselves, no matter what your world, I hate saying worldview. There's either reality or there's not. If your worldview should comport with reality, otherwise it's not a worldview. Being as close to correct as possible is the only worldview. Mm-hmm. Trying to believe all true things and as few false things as possible simultaneously. So we see ourselves as, we're always right, we're the superheroes, and we always see who we're talking to. You can't see it so much, but it's that internet troll, it's that guy that's just, that thinks exactly opposite of us, and he's either intellectually dishonest, he's doing it on purpose. You see this online a lot. People that will just flame you up just to get a rise out of you. They probably don't even believe what they're saying. You guys know what a PO is? No. You've heard that it's an internet term for somebody, a PO. Someone who pretends to be a fundamentalist Christian, and sometimes they're an atheist. That's just goofing, trying to get a rise out of an atheist chat group. So you never know what you're going to get. And we have to remember, everywhere we go, especially like a Baptist church, I have to expect everyone's a believer and everyone's scrutinizing everything I do. If I go outside to vape or something, that's going to be a negative. I'm always worried about my image, and I'm probably too much worried. And I'm already a walking stereotype, so I try to lessen that as much as possible. The ultimate goal is to challenge the bad ideas and gain understanding. And another one besides steel manning, repeating that question back to them, is street epistemology. Did we talk about this last time I was here? Street epistemology? Anthony Bagnabosco, he's another atheist YouTuber. He goes to college campuses, he goes to all public places, out in public. To be on that campus, he has to actually be enrolled in that school. So he actually enrolls in one class just to get on that campus, which is going above and beyond. But that's what his YouTube channel is. It's going to the college campuses, and then you've got the abortion people with the fetuses and there's every possible thing at a college campus, which is great. Ideas should be challenged. So he'll go with his GoPro, and he's got a little stopwatch, 5 minutes. Can I have 5 minutes of your time? And he holds to that 5 minutes. Tell me about a dearly held belief that you have. I think Joseph Smith actually saw the angel Moroni, and an angel gave him some scrolls. Okay, let's talk about that. 5 minutes, go. And he always starts off with the Socratic Method. The Socratic Method, there's a lot to it. To boil it all down, you don't give any opinions at all. You ask them questions and let them answer. Mm-hmm. So if you're trying to talk them out of being a Mormon, say, if they start off, you ask them, how sure are you of this belief? They almost always invariably say 100%. By the end of the 5 minutes, I've seen it as low as 20, or I don't know anymore. In 5 minutes. And it's just Socratic Method, just asking them questions. So what would it take you, what form of evidence would it take you to start questioning? Let them repeat and then have them answer the questions. That's a good way to challenge it. So the different ways you can engage with believers. Like I talked about the Asking Atheist events at different churches in the community. I'd like to take it on the road. I just do all the ones in Dallas-Fort Worth, but I'd like to go bigger. Protests. Metroplex Atheist does a lot of protests, and this one time, often we go to churches. The Steadfast Baptist Church up in, where's that, Hearst or Bedford? You guys know about that? It's an NIFB church. Yeah. New NIFB, New Independent Fundamentalist Baptist, I think. They're anti-gay. They're the death to the gays. That kind of church. Oh, goodness. And they're open about it, and they're hateful. And so a lot of the Metroplex Atheist people, they're picketing out front in the parking lot every Sunday. Well, they got evicted. They're gone now. Yeah. And the mega church, Pastor Jeffress, who was, still is, I guess, Trump's, one of his spiritual leaders there in Dallas. So it was America is a Christian Nation sermon he was going to give. We went to that and we made our voices heard. But we got our permit, we protested in designated spots. That's how you have to do. If you break any rules, you're losing your footing. You're beating yourself up. You have to stay within the rules, but there's ways to peacefully protest, and it's putting on that good image. Truth Wanted, and during that whole banner campaign, we did so many radio and TV interviews. And I'm the only one in the group who speaks Spanish, and my Spanish is not great, but it was good enough I did all the Telemundo and the Estrella TV, so there was news crews from Canada, Mexico, I think one from Australia, England. Atheist and Christian Book Club, you guys know about it, you've had a speaker here that's okay. And YouTube, all the social media, it's a good way if you want to start a channel. And I can help with that. Why do we do it? Why do we just waste it? Why do I do it? Am I trying, see everyone's, why you're out there trying to change minds? Believers, you're probably out there trying to change minds because the Great Commission is in your Bible. It's your responsibility to go and try to change minds. You're told to by your God. Why am I doing it? I don't have to. I'm not trying to change anyone's mind. Often, fans of the show, they start off hate fans, and then I subsequently get an email, and it never fails, happens pretty regularly. Thank you so much. You started the spark, and it never happens immediately. It's someone bought my book, or someone started watching some of my Their pastor told them about this evil atheist and go watch some of his videos. Bad idea, because often it happens. Usually takes 6 months to a year. It lights a spark, and it never is right away, but at some point they wake up in a cold sweat. And when it does happen, it happens immediately. Oh no, I don't think I believe anymore. And it's a sudden realization, and then I get an email. Yes?
And it'd be more of not so much trying to change somebody's mind, but offering an option or something for someone to look for when they're already thinking or questioning what they're believing.
Oh, okay.
Something along that line,
Yeah.
just saying, if you're questioning, could this answer your questions, rather than going out there and saying, you gotta be an atheist, or you gotta be whatever, just because, a lot of people, I think they just need to stay where they're at, but if somebody's questioning, they need material. Could it be more like that, just offering
Ask
an
an
answer?
atheist.
That's an atheist,
Mhm.
yeah. I'm not,
Or just the idea of questioning at all.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're not even there, just the idea that you could question.
and
Well, they're taught not to question,
Right.
just to believe.
yeah, just
And
a
so
big
you're
question.
claiming a spot on the window for them to
From a little,
actually
from this
Yeah.
age.
what's on the other side.
I have a friend, when she first came on the show, I'll say her name, Molly Mcallister. I had her on the show, you guys have heard the name? Someone perked up, okay. She was on the show maybe 4 years ago. Oh, Atheist Edge turned 5 years old yesterday, so. Okay, thanks. Yeah, so about 3 years ago, she came on the show. It was an in-person sit-down, very devout believer, Christian. She thought her horses were going to heaven with her. So that's where she was. I just interviewed her a couple months ago, another sit down. We played a little disc golf and did an interview right there at the disc golf course. And I'm not claiming, I do not want to take any of this glory. Sometimes, what Morpheus says? I can't help you through the door, I can only show you the door, or whatever he says. You're the one that has to go through the door. So, but now what you guys were saying, it cascades, sometimes it's an avalanche. Once your mind starts thinking critically, it'll cascade to other stuff. She doesn't call herself an atheist yet, but she's definitely not a Christian. She has a lot of questions. I guess she would be pretty, agnostic. She's come to terms with her bisexuality. Boom, so it cascaded, and just her whole life has changed. I'm gonna try to fly faster. Why do we do it? I don't do it to change any minds. Now, every atheist is different. There's a lot of atheist YouTubers out there that are like, I'm trying to win converts or be converts, just like a Christian. And they'll be open and honest with you. I want to rid the earth of religion. If that's what you need to be, if you need religion, you would not be a good person without it, keep believing in that forever, please. Keep believing in the dumbest thing I've ever heard of forever. You absolutely have to have that to be a good person. So maybe there is a need for religion still, so I'm not gonna be that guy. I like to break the stigma of what an atheist is, that we're not, fedora wearing, cigar smoking, craft beer snobs. The stigma. I do like some craft beer. If we stay quiet, others control their perception of us. So we have to be out there saying no, especially calling out, why does the atheist always think, you see social media posts, why does the atheist always think this? That, it's important to call them out. We don't think that. Actually, atheism is not even it's just a response to an idea. It's not a claim itself, it's a response to an idea. If you say Odin exists, atheism is just saying, I don't think that's right. That's all atheism is.
Question?
Yes.
I'm kind of curious. I've never had an atheist listen to an atheist before. Have some friends that are atheists, and my uncle's an atheist. Where does kindness come in?
Kindness is probably real in that wheelhouse of ethics and morality, and that becomes a 3-hour talk on my YouTube channel. And it's very subjective. First off, what you think kindness is might not be what he thinks kindness is. So then we got to pin down the first thing I would do is we what is your definition of kindness? I tell you what I think kindness means. And then we have to have a conversation, someone has to give, or both of you have to give a little compromise to where we agree on the definition of kindness. Now the conversation can start, but it's so deep. I personally would think kindness is completely subjective and completely based on social norms and individual moral code. And it's completely secular, complete subjective, not objective. It's self-prescripted, not a divine intelligent agent yet.
I think I have this situation where I've been an atheist all my life. Although lately I come myself pantheist, loosening up a little bit. My daughter-in-law, mother of my two wonderful granddaughters, is a devout Christian from a fundamentalist group, actually. And yet we have managed to have civil conversations with each other about religions in the past. And I give her all the credit for that, because she is willing, not to keep an open mind necessarily, but willing to listen to what I have to say and consider it. And the problem is, how do you even find people like that most of the time? I lucked out.
Well, when you have a YouTube channel, they find you, and you have to avoid the ones that aren't serious about having an honest conversation. If they're talking at you, and I don't block, ban, or kick anyone off my show, I just ignore them. And I've gotten good at just ignoring people that are just, I don't like saying toxic. Toxic's another subjective word. So toxic to me, but it's subjective. If I think someone's if he's not interested in a productive conversation, if I know he's not willing to change his mind, we talked about this last time I was here. Count how many times did you guys ever do it? Is everyone doing their homework? Count how many times you've changed your mind on a dearly held belief in a calendar year. And if I'm at 6. Since the pandemic started, I'm at 6 times I've changed my mind. I write them down when they happen. When I'm like, whoa. And that number is how intellectually honest you are, in my opinion. The more you change your mind on a dearly held belief, it could be something as simple as the Quirinius and Herod thing. We talked about it last time. When Quirinius was governor of Syria, when Jesus was born, we talked about this last time. I'm not going to, So it could be just something in a biblical account. Something that atheists always use as a gotcha, because here's a contradiction, because Herod died in 6 BCE, and Quirinius didn't become governor of Syria until 4 CE, and Jesus was supposed to be born when both of them were, and then how's that? Well, I learned there's a way, I'm not 100% sure, but there's enough, I was exposed to enough evidence where I don't use that as a contradiction anymore. I got off on a tangent, yes.
I just wanted to say that our reading had an example of that kind of morality from Abraham Lincoln when he said, if I don't want to be a slave, then I don't want to be a master, or whatever.
Lincoln said that?
Kindness,
Lincoln.
Oh, okay.
That was our reading.
That was our reading.
Yeah.
It's like that's where
That's right.
morality can come from.
Yep. Oh gosh, it's such a dead horse. I don't mind talking about it again, but we have kicked that dead horse so many times on my channel so far. And I've hit it from so many different angles. I learn something every time we talk about it though. Encourage critical thinking. Whatever you guys got in your coffee break room, your newspapers, and someone put fake news up there, and then someone put something underneath like, what's your source, citation needed, or something, and then all these news clippings. And so I can see people are engaged in critical thinking in that break room right now. I was looking at that. What was it?
On a good day, we're getting critical.
Establish mutual understanding, like she and I, if we had that talk on kindness, we would have to agree on that definition ahead of time. Being out and open and gives your voice to those who wouldn't normally see or hear you. It's not easy. People hold these beliefs as part of their dearly held beliefs. They're not going to let go of them easy, and don't expect it to happen right away. Like I said, sometimes you're just there to light the fuse, and I'm not trying to make anyone an atheist, but if I do light a fuse, I have no idea until maybe at least 6 months later. And I realized, I lit the fuse then. You can trace it back. Stay on topic. You guys ever heard of gish galloping? To gish gallop someone? Dwayne Gish was an he was a young earth creationist. He's probably dead now. But during formal debates, he believes that the earth and humans all are less than 6,000 years old. All right, he's one of those. I know, and there's a lot of young earth creationists out there. So in formal debates, when it was his turn to talk, he would hit his debate opponent with just, and maybe he's got 5 minutes to talk, and he'd hit him with 50 questions or 50 things that his opponent has to refute. Now his opponent's got 5 minutes to respond. He can only get to maybe 3 of them. So Dwayne Gish he would say, well, we could do, that was debatable, but these other 46, I won, because he didn't even address them. It's Gish galloping. So you'll get that a lot. Say, whoa, you're asking too many questions. I do this all the time. Respectfully, you just asked me about 7 questions in that statement. So let's start one at a time. Which one do you want to talk about first? We'll start with the first one. We'll go in reverse order. So we're just pin him down to one question. Now let's chew on that one. And be patient. Your story is unique. Everyone's got a different story. Every atheist, every believer, and everything in between. Last time I had you all raise your hand, it was maybe 40% of the room, non-believers, and the rest of you, all different flavors. Penny, I learned a lot about paganism. We just did a show here recently.
You still got a lot to learn.
Was it?
You still got a lot to learn.
Oh, I think I totally just hit the tip of the iceberg. I fully realize that. Stay in your wheelhouse. So happens all the time on my show. I'll get a believer on, and we get into quantum entanglement. You guys, you know what? Which is this is me, an atheist, talking. That's pretty good evidence for there being possibly a God, I think. In fact, if I were a Christian, or if I were any kind of deist, I'd be using that argument a lot more than they do. Because that one's pretty compelling even to me. If you guys don't know quantum entanglement, just
Go to YouTube.
yes. But it's very complicated. Quantum physics, even quantum physicists find it very complicated. Got an old ex-Marine that does YouTube is definitely not going to have all the answers, but they come at with a question that they learned from someone else. It's always regurgitated. So if you go watch all the Christian apologists, if you meet someone on the street or on a YouTube show, they're just going to parrot with the top 12 apologists. If you learn their argument, you're going to learn anything that can come at you. Right. I don't know enough about quantum entanglement to talk about it. So that's why I say, oh, hold up, we're out of my wheelhouse. I'll tell you what I think. Don't take it as gospel. You know what, let's schedule another show. I'll get someone in that knows a little bit more than me. Or then you can maybe partner up with someone who knows a little bit more than you.
What on earth is a Christian apologist?
Oh gosh, okay, apologetics, the etymology of the word has nothing to do with apology. A lot of people think that. They're definitely not sorry. They're not sorry for anything. It's so kind of the opposite, actually. Apologia, it's Greek, I think. Apologia is a defense of the faith. It has nothing to do with apology, which is to say you're sorry for something you've done, a transgression. So apologia, an apologist, one that uses apologetics, is one who's defending a faith, and a faith means a religious definition. So there are no atheist apologists, no matter what a Christian tells you. It technically cannot be. There are these atheist apologists. I've been called that a million times. It's impossible, because it's defending a faith. I lack faith completely, 100%. I have zero faith. So I can't defend faith. Think of another word, but I ain't an apologist. So it's just defenders of the faith. And there's full-time, professional, William Lane Craig, Frank Turek, James Warner Wallace. There's the big dozen. I've had probably most of them on my show.
And we had James Walker here.
James Walker knows them all.
Yeah.
He's had Frank Turek at the book club twice, who's like he's the big hitter. He's a heavy, I don't know how he got him to come to the book club in person twice, which is incredible. And I think that's great. We had a good discussion. We're not trying to convert them. Always talk about, okay, so I'm almost, great timing. And we've got some time for a Q&A. So I've got 3 more slides. My channel, personally, Courtney and I came up with, it was the Atheist Edge 10 Commandments, and then it grew to 20 when I made the slideshow. Now it's 23. Yeah, it's 23 now, but we're only gonna see 20. I'm only gonna read the highlighted ones if you guys wanna lean in it, or if you wanna look at them later. But I'm just gonna hit the highlights. This, just through a lot of it, through learning the hard way, like we messed something up, we didn't do something right, we got overheated during a debate. We interrupted our guests too much and stepped on their toes. The first year, I was insufferable. I think I've gotten better. Courtney says I've gotten better, but that first 6 months or a year on the show, it's like, Jim, shut up and let your guests talk. That's an art form, boy. Things like that. So I'm just gonna run through things I've learned, and even if you're not doing a YouTube channel, this might help you interacting with people who of different belief systems. Some of them apply only to YouTube, so I'm just gonna hit the highlighted ones. Have alligator skin and ignore trolls. Everyone here gets online. You're gonna be exposed to trolls, poes, like we talked about. People are just trying to flame you up. People that don't care, they probably don't even mean what they're saying. Or if they do mean what they're saying, they're just trying to be as caustic as possible, just to get a rise out of you. Water off a duck's back. Water off a duck's back. Just let that go. Okay, water off an alligator back. Just get alligator skin. It doesn't mean disengage, you know. If you still think there's a chance, then it's your choice to